The moment my mother slammed the front door of our two-story colonial in the Chicago suburbs and gathered the entire family in the living room like it was a courtroom drama, my heart slammed against my ribs. Anya's fingers tightened around mine. Her engagement ring cold against my skin as if it knew the storm was coming. "This is an intervention, Remi," Mom announced, her voice cracking with forced authority. "We love you too much to let you throw everything away on this choice." I stood there, 28 years old, feeling like a teenager again under their stares. Dad crossed his arms, his face red from the drive over. My sister Lisa looked away, guilty as sin. Brother Mark fidgeted with his phone, probably wishing he was anywhere else. And Grandma Evelyn sat in her usual armchair, back ramrod straight, the woman who'd raised me on lectures about duty, marriage to a good man, and the proper life. If anyone was going to deliver the killing blow, it was her. The air felt thick with judgment, the kind that had followed me since I was a kid trying to hide who I really was. But as the words poured out, how could I embarrass the family name? What about the neighbors in our tight-knit community? Didn't I care about my future or my soul? Something inside me shifted. I had spent years pretending, dating boys in high school just to keep the peace, smiling through Sunday dinners while my chest ached with secrets. Meeting Anya changed everything. It was 3 years ago at a little coffee shop downtown near my graphic design studio. She was grading papers for her literature class at the local college, her laugh cutting through the chatter like sunlight. We started talking about books, then life, then the quiet fears we both carried. Our first real date was a walk along the lakefront, hands brushing until we finally held on. Hiding it from my family wasn't easy. I'd lie about late nights at the office or girls' trips that were really weekends away with her. The guilt ate at me, but the love, made it worth every sleepless night. When I proposed last spring in that same park where we first kissed, Anya said yes with tears in her eyes. We kept the wedding small and private in California with just a handful of close friends. No family photos posted anywhere. Or so I thought. The ring on my finger now felt like both armor and a target. Mom kept going, tears streaming as she listed every disappointment. No traditional wedding, no grandkids the right way, the whispers at church. Dad nodded along, muttering about responsibility. Lisa stayed silent, but I caught the way her eyes flicked to her phone. She was the one who'd seen Anya's private Instagram story from our honeymoon and spilled it to Mom. Betrayal from your own blood stings deeper than anything. I wanted to scream that this wasn't a phase or a rebellion. This was me finally whole. Anya squeezed my hand again, her voice steady when she spoke. "We didn't come here to fight. We just want you to understand." But Mom cut her off, turning the intervention into a barrage of questions about therapy, about changing, about how I could do this to them after everything they'd sacrificed. My mind raced back to childhood Christmases where Grandma Evelyn would pull me aside and warn me about the world's temptations, her voice sharp as a blade. She hadn't said a word yet, just watched with those piercing eyes. I braced for her verdict, the one that would break me more than the rest combined. The room spun with the weight of it all. The love I refused to deny and the family I couldn't bear to lose. Little did I know the real shock was only minutes away. The accusations kept coming like waves crashing without mercy. Dad finally spoke up, his voice booming in the small living room. "Remi, think about your career. Clients at the agency won't trust someone living this lifestyle. And what about Anya's teaching job? Parents will talk." His words hit like bricks, dredging up every late-night worry I'd buried. I'd already faced whispers at work after a coworker spotted us at a restaurant last month. One client even pulled their project, mumbling something about family values. The prejudice wasn't new, but hearing it from Dad made it cut deeper. Anya's face paled beside me. She taught high school English, pouring her heart into kids who needed someone to believe in them. Losing that because of us would destroy her. I flashed back to the night I almost told them the truth 2 years ago. We'd driven home from a family barbecue. Anya waiting in the car while I sat at the kitchen table. Mom had asked if I was seeing anyone special, her eyes hopeful for a son-in-law. I lied again, saying no one serious. The guilt afterward had me crying in Anya's arms for hours. She never pushed, but I knew the secrecy weighed on her too. Her own family was more accepting. Her parents in California had welcomed me with open arms at the wedding, but mine felt like a fortress I couldn't breach without shattering. Lisa finally cracked under the tension. "I saw the photo, Remi. Anya posted it. You two look so happy, but it wasn't fair to keep us in the dark. Her voice trembled, half apology, half accusation. There it was, the betrayal I'd suspected. My little sister, the one I'd protected growing up, had chosen sides. Mark shifted uncomfortably, mumbling that maybe we should all calm down. But Mom wasn't having it. She pulled out printed screenshots from her purse, waving them like evidence. Pictures from our quiet ceremony under the palms, Anya in a simple white dress, me in a tailored suit, both of us beaming. The image burned in my mind, a moment of pure joy now weaponized. Grandma Evelyn still hadn't spoken. She adjusted her glasses, her hands steady despite her 82 years. I waited for the lecture I'd heard 1,000 times. Marriage is between a man and a woman. Family comes first. Sacrifice your happiness for the greater good. Instead, her silence stretched, building the pressure until I thought I'd explode. My chest tightened with the moral dilemma I'd wrestled for years. Was loving Anya selfish if it meant hurting them? Was I failing as a daughter, a sister, a granddaughter? The room grew hotter, the ticking clock on the mantel the only sound besides sniffles. Anya whispered to me, "We don't have to stay if this is too much." But running wasn't an option. This intervention was their last stand, and I had to face it. Deep down, I wondered if my choices had already cost me everything. The confrontation was just beginning, and the real cost was about to reveal itself in ways none of us expected. Hours dragged on as the intervention turned into a marathon of tears and raised voices. Mom pulled out old photo albums, pointing to pictures of me as a little girl in dresses, dreaming aloud about my future wedding. "This isn't the life we planned for you," she sobbed. Her words twisted the knife of guilt deeper. I planned that life too once, the white picket fence, the husband, the kids. But it never felt right. Anya stood beside me like a rock, sharing stories of her own coming out struggles in college, how her parents' support had saved her. "Love isn't a choice we make to hurt others," she said quietly. "It's who we are." Dad dismissed it as modern nonsense, pacing the carpet until he wore a path. I retreated into memories to survive the onslaught. The day Anya and I moved in together in our small apartment downtown, painting the walls and laughing over spilled coffee. The way she'd hold me after a bad day at work, whispering that our love was worth every risk. But now, facing my family, those risks felt enormous. Societal pressure wasn't abstract anymore. Friends had distanced themselves, church invitations dried up, and even my boss hinted at keeping things professional. The moral conflict raged inside. Stay true to myself or sacrifice for peace. I almost broke when Lisa admitted she'd shown the photos to Grandma first, hoping for backup. "I thought she'd talk sense into you," she said, voice small. Another layer of betrayal. Grandma Evelyn cleared her throat finally, but not to condemn. She leaned forward, her voice calm and measured. "Enough. I've listened to all of you tear this girl apart." The room froze. My pulse thundered. She turned to me, eyes softer than I'd ever seen. "Remi, your love for Anya. It's real. I see it." "What?" The strictest voice in our family, the one who'd quoted Bible verses at every holiday, was defending us? Dad sputtered, Mom gasped. Grandma continued. "I had a sister once. She loved a woman too, back when it meant losing everything. Family, home, even her name. We turned our backs. I regretted it every day after she passed alone." Her revelation hung heavy, a window into the woman I'd never truly known. The intervention cracked wide open, shifting from attack to confusion. But the damage was done. Choices had consequences, and mine were forcing everyone to face their own truths. The tension rose as questions flew at Grandma, but she held firm. My awakening started right there amid the chaos. Love's price wasn't just mine to pay. The room erupted after Grandma's confession. Dad demanded how she could betray the family's values after preaching them for decades. "This is different," she shot back, her tone sharper than I'd heard in years. "I was wrong then. I'm not repeating it now." Her words landed like a bomb, exposing the cracks in our perfect conservative image. Mom buried her face in her hands, whispering prayers. Lisa looked betrayed herself, as if Grandma had switched sides without warning. I stood stunned, Anya's arm around my waist the only thing keeping me grounded. The intervention had backfired spectacularly, but the emotional fallout was just starting. Flashbacks flooded me again. Childhood Sundays at church with Grandma leading the hymns, her hand firm on my shoulder as she warned against sinful paths. Now here she was, standing up for the very thing she'd once condemned. It forced me to confront my own prejudices, the ones I'd internalized. Had I judged myself harsher than they ever could? Anya pulled me aside during a brief break for water, her eyes searching mine. This is huge, but are you okay? Your family's falling apart because of us. Her doubt mirrored my own moral dilemma. Was our happiness worth fracturing them? I thought of the sacrifices. Missed holidays, strained calls, the isolation creeping in at work where colleagues avoided eye contact after rumors spread. Mark tried to mediate, suggesting counseling for everyone, but the damage ran too deep. Grandma shared more. Letters from her sister she'd hidden for 50 years. The pain of watching her fade away rejected. I chose silence then. I won't now. Her defense gave me strength, but it also sparked new confrontations. Dad stormed out briefly, slamming the door, only to return with ultimatums about inheritance and family gatherings. Lisa cried, accusing me of stealing Grandma's loyalty. The psychological tension built layer by layer, each decision rippling outward. I had to choose: apologize and step back, or stand firm and pay the price. Anya whispered support, but I saw the toll on her too. Her job security, our shared dreams of a family one day. The story wasn't just about us anymore. It was about awakening to the truth that love demands courage, even when it costs everything familiar. As night fell outside the windows, the intervention dragged into its rawest phase, testing every bond we had. By midnight, the living room felt like a battlefield of shattered illusions. Mom confronted Grandma directly, voice breaking. How can you defend this after raising us to believe otherwise? Grandma didn't flinch. Because I lived with the regret. Remi's happiness isn't a threat. Our fear is. Her words ignited a new round of arguments, each one peeling back years of unspoken pain. I watched my family unravel, the price of my choices staring back at me in their faces. Internal conflict tore at me. Pride in my love for Anya clashed with guilt over the division I caused. Was I the villain in their story, or were they clinging to outdated chains? Anya and I stepped outside for air, the cool Chicago night wrapping around us like a blanket. She admitted her own fears, losing her teaching position if parents complained, the whispers in our community. I love you, Remi, but I never wanted to destroy your family. Her vulnerability mirrored mine, forcing another moral reckoning. We talked about alternatives. Eloping further, cutting ties temporarily. But running felt like cowardice after Grandma's stand. Back inside, the tension peaked when Lisa revealed she'd told extended relatives, escalating the prejudice beyond our walls. They're saying things about us at the church potluck, she admitted, tears flowing. The societal weight pressed harder: job risks, social isolation, the constant judgment that made simple things like holding hands in public a battle. Grandma pulled me aside then, her hand gentle on my arm for the first time in years. Don't let fear win like I did. Pay the price if you must, but live true. Her awakening became mine. I realized the real betrayal wasn't Lisa's leak or my secret marriage. It was denying who we were to appease others. Decisions crystallized. We'd move forward with the wedding reception plans despite the backlash, inviting whoever chose to come. The cost was real: strained relationships, lost invitations, sleepless nights replaying arguments. But as Anya and I left that night, hand in hand, the clarity hit. Love wasn't selfish, suppressing it was. The family split deepened, but seeds of change were planted. The drama wasn't over, but I felt stronger, ready for whatever came next. Weeks blurred after the intervention, each day a new test of our resolve. Dad stopped answering calls. Mom sent long emails quoting scripture mixed with pleas to come home. Lisa texted apologies but kept distance, her betrayal lingering like a shadow. Even Mark stayed neutral, caught in the middle. The societal prejudice followed us everywhere. Canceled dinner invites from neighbors, awkward silences at Anya's school events. My job suffered too. A big client pulled out after hearing rumors, forcing me to hustle for new work. The price was steep, but every sacrifice reminded me why we fought. Grandma visited us quietly at our apartment, bringing homemade pie and stories of her sister. Her support became our anchor, turning the once strict enforcer into our fiercest ally. Anya and I rebuilt slowly, planning a small reception despite the empty chairs we knew would stay that way. Internal doubts crept in during quiet moments. Was I selfish for choosing this path? Had my decisions truly awakened the family, or just broken them? One evening, as we walked the lakeside where we'd once dreamed freely, Anya turned to me. "Whatever happens, we're in this together. The cost was worth it." Her words sealed my awakening. We hosted the gathering anyway. A handful of friends showing up, Grandma front and center with a proud smile. The family rift remained, but cracks of understanding appeared. Mom sent a card weeks later, tentative and unsigned, but a start. Life moved forward with new strength. I landed better clients who valued authenticity. Anya's students rallied around her quiet courage. The drama had reshaped us all, proving that some prejudices crumble under truth. Yet the scars lingered, reminders of every confrontation, every trade-off. As I watched Anya laugh with Grandma over coffee one afternoon, the full weight settled. Love demands everything, but it gives back more. The journey wasn't easy, the choices controversial, but they were ours. Was it right for Grandma to defend our love and shatter family traditions, or should she have stayed silent to keep the peace? True or false, the answer might just depend on who you ask.